A while back I watched a video about cosmic horror, which was very fascinating. I'm not sure what the name was again, but I'm gonna try and find it again to link it in the description. And in this video there were multiple scenes of the movie Annihilation, which were just, well, they looked very fascinating and very interesting. I'm actually a major pussy when it comes to horror movies. I absolutely can't handle them. I'm 25 years old now, but I still wake up at night from nightmares, and well, it maybe wasn't the wisest decision to watch this movie, even though it isn't the most scary movie by a long stretch. Anyway, I watched Annihilation with my girlfriend. I think it's definitely a decent movie with upsides and downsides. The main problem I have with it is the human characters, to be honest. The first half moves very slowly, mainly to get you to know the characters and care about them, but the problem was I didn't care about them. I might have cared about them a little if they didn't act majorly foolish during the actual events of the movie. There were multiple times where I was screaming at the screen like, why would you do that? Please, do you wanna die? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Anyway, what is great about this movie is the visuals and the soundtrack, and basically just the general concepts. I found that especially the soundtrack did work very well for me. You know about the uncanny valley, where something resembles a human, the more something resembles a human, the more we are comfortable with it, until it almost perfectly resembles a human, but is just barely off, then it makes it very uncomfortable for us to look at. I had that feeling basically throughout the entire movie because of the soundtrack. It gave a very eerie atmosphere where I was constantly thinking like, something is inherently wrong with this. Something is very, very wrong here, and I can't put my finger on it. Like, besides the weird shit going on, like more deeper than that, something is just off. This was complemented by the visuals. The visuals were, I think, intentionally a bit blurry, which made everything look not necessarily fake, but, well, again, off. Like, it was just barely wrong. Like, that worked very well for me. The concepts were very interesting as well. I did mention I wasn't that good with horror movies, and well, I proved that again, because that night when I was sleeping with my girlfriend, I was very scared. I dreamt about it a lot, especially about a certain scene. I also, at some point I asked my girlfriend if I could sleep on the other side of the bed between her and the wall, like a little kid would to its mom. So it did a job in that sense. All in all, I think this movie is very much worth your time if you're interested in like cosmic horror or interesting concepts or just bizarre or fascinating visuals. You do have to push through the first half though. Well, maybe that's just me, but my girlfriend felt the same way. That was a very tough part. Now for some spoilers, very small, but if you really want to go in blind, then you should stop watching right now. 3, 2, 1. Alright, the scene that really gave me a nightmare was the bear scene, and I've heard multiple people say this. It was just so disturbing. It wasn't like, its design was very, very, very well done. At first I thought it was just a rotting skeleton bear, which is, I guess, scary, but it's not that original. But at the later scene where they're all tied down, you can see that it's not a skeleton, it just has a skeleton-shaped head, but there is fur on top of it. And there is a human face growing at its ear. And just the entire concept of it screaming with the death voice of the other characters it killed was very deeply disturbing. I also very much like the concept of the alien creature not being inherently malicious, just doing what it does and not understanding us the same way we don't understand it, or maybe not even noticing us, because it was like a fundamentally different form of life. The ending was very ambiguous, which I actually liked, because I think my girlfriend didn't agree with me on that, but what makes movies like this and cosmic horror in general very interesting is we don't get it and we can't get it. It's like inherently unknowable. And the ending did a very good job with that. Like, we still don't know what happened. There are multiple interpretations that it inherited our self-destructive nature and killed itself. But I've also heard people say, like, yeah, it achieved its job and now it can infiltrate humanity through the survivors. And I like that it was so open-ended, because it really leaves room for imagination. All in all, I think you should definitely go watch this movie. It's on Netflix, it's very easily accessible, and you won't regret it unless you are something like me and you can't sleep that night, in which case you will regret it, but that's your own risk.